Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Yonit Arthur. I'm an audiologist and strength coach. You are on the Steady Coach, and today we're here to talk about the 5 habits of people who recover from chronic dizziness symptoms. So I have a previous video talking about habits that keep people dizzy, and I'm very excited to bring you a new video today on habits that help people become not dizzy. So one of the main thing people are looking for when they come to my channel, obviously, is how to feel better. And as you've gone through my channel, you've seen the comments, maybe you've seen people in my membership community, or you've watched some recovery stories, you're wondering what these people have in common. What are the big things that they're doing that help them get better? What are some of the things that you can learn from them in order to help your own recovery? So today I'm going to bring you my view of the top 5 habits that people who recover have, and hopefully you'll be able to take that information and apply it to yourself so that it can help you recover as well. The first habit of people who recover from chronic dizziness is that they accept the diagnosis of neural circuit dizziness and they stop looking for answers from various healthcare professionals. This sounds like a relatively easy one, but it's not, because we are growing up in cultures in which we are taught that if we have a physical symptom, it means that we have some kind of physical tissue damage that's causing the symptom. This idea that many of our physical symptoms can be driven by neural circuits is a complete paradigm shift for many people. So this isn't always an easy transition for people. But what I can tell you is that people who recover from chronic dizziness symptoms stop treating their symptoms as though they're being driven by a physical cause. They stop seeing medical professionals or healthcare professionals or alternative practitioners who are doing various body things to try to fix them. They stop viewing their bodies as something that need to be fixed. They start viewing themselves as healthy and whole, and they start focusing on the problem itself, which is, again, a brain prediction error or brain mistake. So if you want to integrate this into your recovery, one of the things you can start doing is looking critically at all the things you're trying to do for your dizziness symptoms, and think critically about whether that's reinforcing the idea that there is something physically wrong with you. Because as long as you are acting as though there's something physically wrong with you, your brain is going to continue to function in danger mode. It's going to continue to predict danger. It's going to continue to predict that there's something actually wrong with you, and this is going to perpetuate your symptoms. Along similar lines, the second habit of people who recover from chronic dizziness is they drop the diagnoses. They drop the identification with their symptoms. It is completely understandable and normal when you are dealing with an awful set of symptoms like chronic dizziness that you would want to get a diagnosis. Again, this speaks to the healthcare culture that many of us grow up in, again, that equates a diagnosis to a solution. But once you've been diagnosed with PPPD, MdDS, cervicogenic dizziness, vestibular migraine, and many of these other symptom-based diagnoses, there is nothing in those diagnoses that explains why you have your symptoms. They're just descriptions of the symptoms themselves. Once you have one of these diagnoses, that's great news, because that means that there's nothing physically wrong with your body. And at that point, people who recover start to realize that it doesn't really matter which label they were given. Ultimately, all of these symptom-based diagnoses mean that their bodies are healthy and that they're able to recover from their symptoms by addressing the brain prediction errors that are causing the symptoms. So if you want to integrate this into your recovery, think critically about how you're talking about and identifying with the symptom-based diagnosis that you were given. When you find yourself starting to question, is this particular symptom normal with this particular condition? Does this type of symptom mean I have that condition? Remind yourself that it really doesn't matter. Once physical abnormalities have been ruled out, what we're dealing with here is neural circuit dizziness, and the treatment is the same regardless of the symptom-based diagnosis you were given. The third habit of people who recover from chronic dizziness is they stop avoiding things that are triggering to them. This can mean both physical things like physical activities that tend to bring on symptoms, and emotional things like difficult situations, confrontations, and conflicts in their lives. Avoidance in general is a message to your brain that there's something to fear. And as we know from many of the other videos on my channel, fear is a direct feed into this cycle that produces the prediction errors that lead to symptoms. So reducing fear is a huge part of recovery from chronic dizziness symptoms. And one of the ways we reduce fear is by not avoiding things that we're afraid of, by exposing ourselves to the things that we are afraid of, whether again, physical or emotional. We're teaching our brain that those things are not to be feared. And if you want to integrate this into your recovery, this can be as simple as starting to do a little bit more physical activity than you have been doing, or it may mean thinking about ways in your daily life that you may be able to say no, set boundaries, or have some very constructive confrontations with people who you are currently not setting boundaries with. Again, think about what you might be avoiding. Remember that that increases fear, that directly feeds into symptoms, and see what you can do to expose yourself to those things that you find scary. And along those lines, habit number four of people who recover from chronic dizziness is they do tend to start setting boundaries and saying no more often. One of the most important things that I help people learn about themselves when they're recovering is that people with chronic dizziness tend to have a really hard time saying no, taking care of themselves, and setting boundaries. This is a major source of stress. When you're constantly bulldozing through your own needs to take care of other people, it's a source of anger that you end up needing to repress, and it's a source of stress and pain for you because you are not getting what you need. So most people who recover from chronic dizziness start to develop a much better sense of self-compassion, of self-care, and that starts with being able to say no and set boundaries in a way that is authentic to you. If you want to start integrating this into your life, I recommend sitting down and thinking through some of those areas in your life where you are not getting your needs met, and determine, first of all, how you can show yourself more compassion in those areas, how you might be able to help yourself meet your own needs, but also to determine who you might need to say no to, who you might need to set a boundary with in order to get your needs met. And along similar lines, there may be other situations where you need to say yes a little more often, and that can be part of self-compassion and self-care as well. And finally, the fifth big habit of people who recover from chronic dizziness symptoms is that they start to think psychologically about their symptoms. You've probably noticed that one of the most commonly asked questions on my channel is, I have this symptom, does this mean that I have neural circuit dizziness? And the answer is almost always yes, because once you've had medical issues ruled out, your brain can produce an infinite number of symptoms. So people who recover tend to look at those symptoms when they show up, when they have a new symptom, or when they have an old symptom that pops back up, as an opportunity to look inside and think psychologically. What's bothering me right now? What stress may have caused my danger mode to flare? What do I need? What might I need to say no to, etc. In other words, instead of being distracted by symptoms or focused on symptoms, they take these symptoms as an opportunity to look inside and see what might actually be going wrong, what might actually be causing this danger mode spike in the brain. And this serves two purposes. First, it reduces your focus on symptoms, which is always a good thing. The less time focused on symptoms, the better. But the second thing that it does, and perhaps the more important thing that it does, is it helps you address danger mode directly. And danger mode is the ultimate underlying basis of these prediction errors that lead to chronic dizziness symptoms. So if you want to practice this, I invite you to not focus on the symptom, but rather to think psychologically. What's bothering me? What do I need right now? Is there something making me angry? Is there something making me sad? Is there something that's making me feel guilty? Look for sources of psychological stress. And if they're not there, then they're not there. But we always want to think psychologically when new symptoms crop up or when old symptoms flare up. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Again, there are many other habits that people who successfully recover from chronic dizziness symptoms have, but these were the top 5 that really stood out to me, and I hope this helps you on your path to recovery. Of course, I look forward to your questions and comments below, and as always, please like this video, please share this video, and please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me bring this message to more people. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.